Hey everybody, it's James from On Whose Shoulders podcast. Today we're going to talk to Heather Fleece, who is a youth pastor, very well-known, nationally known youth pastor from the Twin Cities area and Wooddale Church. Heather has been heavily involved at Trout Lake Camps for years and years, as well as Camp Forest Springs in Wisconsin and other camps all around the state. And she's going to give us some insights about how youth pastors and youth groups use camps back in the day and use camps now. And so I hope you enjoy this podcast. Howdy, it's James Rock, director of Trout Lake Camps. Welcome back to On Whose Shoulders Do We Stand. This is my friend, Heather Fleece.
Hey!
Heather and I go way stinking back to
whatever day you started,
1998
James.
in the fall.
1998, yep.
Heather and I are going to talk about camping then and camping now. For this podcast, Heather's the first non-director to appear on it.
I was summer camp program director in the summer of 1994. Yes.
94.
Yeah, 94.
Wow.
I know.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, do you remember what happened around the first time we met? There's the second time we met. Do you remember this story?
Was it a conflict?
It wasn't conflict with us.
Okay, I thought it was a conflict with the football.
So I was on staff at Trout Lake Camps in the fall as program director.
Yes.
Our head cook had a heart attack, and so I ended up being in the kitchen. And so I was doing the kitchen and kind of watching programming that had already been created a little bit because I came in the fall. You walking into the room. Sure. We met each other at the first kickoff Friday night.
Yeah.
A bunch of people are in my office late Friday night. Kids are in bed. It's the first night of junior high weekend retreat.
Yes.
You come running in the room and you say, do you even remember?
No.
You said, I think there's a bunch of naked guys singing at the boat side. Do you remember this?
No,
I remember it plain as day.
Well, sure.
I'm looking at you, and we just met, and I'm like, there's no way. But I was new to Trout, and so I had no idea what was going on. So it was a junior high retreat going on, and so I jump in my car, I drive down over there, and all of a sudden, in my headlights are naked butts. Now we won't say what school had their hockey team at another part of camp. And we won't say the school because that would be evil to do.
I know. I'm remembering this now, and thankfully I did not go down in your car with you.
Oh my goodness!
I did not see those naked butts.
So I jumped out of the car and I'm yelling, "What are you guys doing?" And so I followed them a different way. I followed them back, and the coach says, "Oh, that's just what we do."
That's tradition.
Now again, we got to be clear. In modern camping, and this is kind of what this podcast is about. That's 1998. The things that happened in the camps in the 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, that was a different world than the way camps are run by now. I want to be super clear about that point.
It's true.
But they didn't get sent home, which is crazy.
No. And the adult in charge of them was okay with it.
Yelled at me. Wow. He was actually mad at me for running everybody off the beach because that was a tradition they did. And again, they never rented camp again and all that kind of stuff. But I was a brand new program director. I was trying to get my boundaries like that. But I'm like, you guys should be going home. Like, nope, you should have never, and so I came back to you and I said, okay, I scared them off because deep men voices singing, and there's 350 kids, junior high kids all around the grounds. It was absolutely crazy. So for years that we've known each other, 27, 28 years, whatever, that's the first thing that comes to mind is you coming into the office going, I think there's naked guys down at the boat docks. And I go, and I was like, okay, I guess I've got to go down there. I'm the program director now. And so I ran down, but no. And so,
wow.
But yeah, before we get too far, tell us about your background besides informing on the hockey team.
Yes. Well, I like to say I grew up born and bred BGC, Baptist General Conference, now Converge, which means that Trout Lake Camp was always my camp. Cool. So started at Bethel Baptist Church down in Owatonna, and I started my first summer was the only time we were allowed was summer after third grade, and it was all at the point.
Okay.
So to be clear, I mean, I have a hard time even today saying Trout Lake Camps, plural, because it was just Trout Lake Camp. And I came up, I was just itching to be here as quick as I could, summer after third grade. And I was down in the fish cabins. I'm quite certain it was birch. Maple was on the front side by the soda fountain. And it was the side one toward the lake that was birch. And that was my first year. And I just loved it. And I came every single summer of my life. And I just could not wait until I got to volunteer. And at the time they didn't have the D team, you know, they had Martha's
and engineers.
Yep. And so, and I didn't have any interest in that. I wanted to counsel because
Martha's and Engineers was our high school volunteer program back in those days. So the
old DT. And they had a mom and a dad and all of that and helped the camp run, right? But I had done Vacation Bible School. I had done a lot of babysitting. And so I thought counseling was it. And so summer after ninth grade, I'll back up. Loved junior girls, but man, when we hit junior camp with boys and girls together, it was just so great. And honestly, James, you know this, to this day, one of my dearest friends of all time, Craig Sanborn, I met in the 8th grade when we were up at juniors together. And no, it wasn't, what was it called?
Young Teens?
Young Teens, Young Teens, because then it was Niners, which I'll get to in a second. It was just so fun to be boys and girls, brothers and sisters in Christ, and have such a great time. One of the biggest things that I remember that I don't think they do anymore were skills classes. I was actually certified in my swimming here at Trout Lake Camps because one of the skills was like beginner swimming, advanced swimming, intermediate swimming. And I did not do that back at home. And so I got certified in advanced swimming because I kept coming back every year and doing it again and again. I did archery. I did riflery. It was so fun. There was a Bible class and then there was a skills class every day that you got to choose. So it was like electives. And when you're 11 years old and you get to choose what you do, your parents don't get to choose you for it. It's great.
So you were never on the junior staff, the D team, the mats?
Never.
You were never on it. That's a surprising thing to me.
Never. So
then how did you end up on college staff?
Yeah. So summer after 9th grade, I came up to be a counselor in training, a CIT, because it was the first opportunity I could do that age-wise.
Okay.
And let's just talk a little bit about the counselors at the time. Every single counselor that was here at Trout Lake Camp was a volunteer counselor.
Yeah, adults.
So 9 weeks out of the year, there were youth and children's camps, and every counselor who was in a cabin, and there were lots of them, were volunteer adults that or college age students that would come up and take a full week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks off.
That was my experience too at Bear Lake Bible Camp in Michigan. I had a postman as my counselor. I had a maintenance guy as my counselor.
A lot of teachers.
Teachers as counselors. And so it wasn't really until for Bear Lake until I was college age that they were actually hired cabin leaders.
So what year was that? Do you remember?
That'd have been 87, 88.
Okay.
In 89, somewhere in there.
And was that in Michigan?
That was in Michigan. Okay. So here it was probably about the same.
Summer of 92.
Okay.
Because I was part of that, James. So that's
you were
what's so
part
great.
of that first group.
Yeah. So summer after 9th grade, came up to be a counselor in training. Super excited about it. And it was very common at Trout that they wouldn't have enough counselors. I mean, especially as it got toward the end of that time, with I'm sure with jobs and with, elevated classes and all the things, they just couldn't get people anymore. So I came up and we were sitting in Lakeview South, which used to be the store and now is?
Used to be the store. That's which one now?
Right across from the dining hall. You could come out there.
That store again.
Oh, it is.
But then downstairs is the soda fountain, but that's now kind of a game room.
Correct. So we were sitting upstairs. It was the leader meeting, and they gave me a packet, and it said Sequoia on it, which I was super excited about because I had been in Sequoia with Carla Grover Barnhill myself. And then they said, I said, well, who's my counselor? Because I was schedule-based counselor in training. There was, we're short counselors this year. So I was put in Sequoia cabin as a 15-year-old girl with 14 11-year-old girls. I had not 1 ounce of training except for what I had done and what God had given me. And I was put as a full counselor with 14 11-year-old girls. And God literally, James, began to form my love for junior hires in Sequoia cabin. that summer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now there is a backstory we'll put the link into the video with you and Carla talking about your salvation moment and all that kind of stuff at camp. Amazing video. We don't need to go into details of that, but that's one of the greatest videos I think we've ever made with the two of you kind of talking about you as a young camper. Yeah. But how do you get from how many summers were you on staff?
So that would have been 88. That would have been summer of 88 that I came. And then, of course, I never went back to CIT because I was successful that week and I loved it. And so I continued every summer. I'd come up as many weeks as I could. Yep. Then I went to Bethel the fall of 91. Okay. And I don't know how I found out, but they said, we are going to do a trial summer where we are going to hire 5 full-time counselors. They kind of looked at us as a base. Yep. Pretty sure there were two boys and 3 girls because just of the numbers that they had. And then they would fill in the gaps around with volunteers. Yeah. So Craig Sanborn was one of them. Devin Holm was another. Yeah. Susie Reynolds was another. Wow. Myself, and then somebody that you wouldn't know named.
So Scott Brisky was the program director here then.
Yep.
So Scott's got stories of going into the weekend and not having 8, 10, 15 cabin leaders.
Yes.
Where he's on the phone calling the previous whole year, but then begging the week before, you have to come. We've got kids coming. We need an adult. And convincing people to the last second take a week off of work because they were adults. And then going to the cabin. And then there was that transition that you're talking about. So Roger Cammers, the executive director, Scott's on site or program on site. Yep. And then they're just trying to get people to come to it. And then luckily that's a big change in camping in those late 80s, early 90s. Of going to, hey, let's just hire college kids, and the college kids will be paid and all that kind of stuff. So how many years did you do that?
So that was the summer of 92, and it worked. I don't remember how many they expanded to the next year, but I became a lead counselor. Wow. So they had 4 lead counselors who would be in charge of the counselors. So I did that in 93, and then I was summer program director in the summer of 94. So I was full-time all 3 summers while I was at Bethel.
While going to Bethel.
And
so then you graduated with Bethel with a youth ministry. You'd already decided that?
Communications degree. So I went to Bethel in the fall of 91 to become the public relations representative for the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, okay. I was going to marry a Viking.
Excellent.
On the offensive line, preferably, and have big babies. That was my plan.
Good plan.
But literally came here after my freshman year. A guy named Dave saw me in action, recruited me to come and work at Christ Community Church, which met in the Shoreview Community Center. It was a church plant for the Baptist General Conference. Okay. And he asked me to come on part-time paid. I couldn't. I already had 4 other jobs. I said, I'll volunteer with you. 8 weeks later, he took me out in the garage and told me he was leaving. I had already fallen in love with the kids. I was 19 years old, and I became the youth director at Christ Community Church at age 19 in my sophomore year at Bethel. Wow. And that's where the Lord just kept adding on. And it was by my junior year, after the summer being here, that I realized this is what God intends for me for the rest of my life. So I stuck with the communication major because I knew that would be important. And then I just laid on all the youth ministry experience that I could. But I will tell you, James, I say this all over the nation. I could not, and I don't believe youth ministry can be learned in a classroom. I learned so much of what I do on a daily basis as a junior high pastor here at Trout Lake Camps. When you're in the throes and every week you have a new set of 12 to 15 girls and you're dealing with girls from all over and all different circumstances and you're having to partner with people and you got people over you. And I mean, it to this day, I literally do things that I did because I learned them here at Trout Lake Camps.
Were you on campus at Bethel while doing all that?
I was, yes.
Okay.
It was.
I never was on campus. Yeah. So I was always working at a camp, living at a camp, driving back and forth to college.
Oh, wow. No, I was.
Before all the modern.
Yeah, no kidding.
Online things.
That was not normal to do that.
No,
you were.
No, very unnormal.
Wow.
I drove 50 minutes one way back and forth every day for multiple years while I worked at Gull Lake.
Wow.
But that was bachelor's finishing and master's. But it's crazy.
It's interesting. Let's go back. So I would have thought Trout was on like the cutting edge of getting full-time people, but it sounds like they were more on the tail end. If this was 92 and you said you guys were doing that in Michigan at the late 80s.
And it kind of, it's one of those things where I think the coast starts it, which is kind of pretty normal in camping. Sure. The coast kind of started because the coast had the bigger camps first.
Yep. Talking Hume Lake and
Hume
all
Lake
of that.
and Spring Hill in Michigan and whatever. And so I think what happened is probably when the big camp in Michigan, Spring Hill, started doing it, it probably pushed some of those other camps into having to hire staff and all that kind of stuff. I don't know exactly what was the driver of Bear. Yeah. I just know I was really, really thankful. But again, even then, it wasn't all of us. So there was this core of staff that were cabin leaders and or other stuff that were there, but still a bunch of volunteers were still coming. So like the guys who were my cabin leaders, 1 or 2 of the weeks of that summer, they would have showed up again as cabin leaders alongside me. Sure. I was just older now. Yeah. And there's still some of that. So Bear Lake still have volunteer program staffs that come today. Oh, wow. Whereas most camps hire program staffs year round now. And so the way I phrase camping is we all do the same thing very differently. And so every camp has a little bit different take on kind of the same direction. Yeah. And so there are camps out there still to this day that are all volunteer cabin leaders, but they're so few and far between.
They're smaller.
Yep.
So they can do it. Yeah.
The other big change now is there's a lot of camps with high school kids in those roles where we would think of high school kids as the LIT, the assistant cabin leader. There's now more camps because it's so hard to get the college kids. Yeah. And so there's camps that are like, oh, we'll just do high school kids and have a couple of college kids in charge of them. So it went from it's the teacher or the mailman or the whatever to college kids. And then for Trout, that's one step too far, having high school kids be in charge of junior high students. Yeah. But there are camps out there that's what they've had to do just to keep going.
So summer of 1999.
Yeah.
How many paid staff did you have? You came in the fall of 98.
Yep.
Do you remember?
We were just looking at pictures. So there was about 80 of us.
That were paid?
70, 80 of us that were paid that way
from
back
92 to 98.
Yes. Yep. And so we were just looking at pictures of, but that's not just counselors, that's kitchen staff.
Sure. Yeah. So I'd be curious how many were in the cabins.
Yep.
If there were 5 in 92.
There would have been 32 cabins. So we didn't have volunteers hardly at all in cabins when I came here. The volunteers were the high school kids. So by 98, basically it was 100% college age staff.
Okay.
But that's a really good point.
Yeah. I mean,
it's but there's all those support areas and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But now Trout with 3 camps, we're 172 college staff. But that's nothing compared to a Texas camp, a big, or the bigger camps in the country that are running hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of summer staff.
Yeah. So when I started at Christ Community, of course, we came to Trout. I mean, that's just what we did because I didn't know anything different. Yep. So I literally had been bringing youth groups since the fall of 1993.
So is that fall retreats? Is that rental? Is that district blitz? What is that back then?
Back then it would have been fall retreats and district blitz.
Okay.
Yep. And that's actually what it is still for us today at Wooddale.
So that church became Wooddale?
No, that church became Calvary White Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I left to go to Wooddale in December of 1996. Mm-hmm. So I was at Christ Community for 4 years. It was still a part-time role. And I just, this associate position opened up at Wooddale where I would go under a guy named Greg Wiseman who had been there 10 years. Doug Paget had been there 10 years as a senior high guy. And I just thought, I just want to have it not on my own shoulders because I was running everything and I was so young. I wanted to be mentored. And so I went to Wooddale never having even heard of it. Wow. And I thought, okay, I did senior high because we grew at Christ Community and now I'll go do junior high. So I did small church, senior high. I'll do big church, junior high and see what I like the best. And that was 29 years ago.
29 years in ministry at the same church
as the junior high pastor.
There's got to be a record. It's got to be world record and stuff.
Yeah, my friend Katie Edwards out at Saddleback was running the same, but now she's a big girl. She's the campus pastor.
Oh, okay.
At one of their bigger campuses, and so she's no longer overseeing the junior high ministry.
How do we get a hold of the world record group and figure out? Get your picture. Remember the old books? Get your picture in the book.
Picture's already over here at Wildwood.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So. When you were running rentals back then or going to retreats back then, how was back then different than it is today?
Yeah, I think just even similar to when I was growing up, everything was at the point. And so, I mean, going to the horse corral was a big deal. It was so far away. I would take boys out because I was in charge of riflery when I was here on staff. And we would drive a van all the way out where that little ski, shed is or whatever. But I mean, even then it was like way back in the unkept woods.
Just to explain to listeners for a second. Trout Lake Camps in 1998 was one camp at the point, what we call the point there now, with 225 beds. In the fall and spring, you could do 300, 400 plus. And then we added a junior high camp called Timber Ridge.
In what year?
Man, I'm terrible with the years. So that would have been
2000.
Yeah, late 2000s.
Yep.
And then we added our Wildwoods camp, which is first, second, and third graders, and took the one camp and split it up into 3 age specific camps. So there's a generation that only thinks of trout is the point. And then they bring their kids back and there's 2 more camps here, and it is like, how'd that happen? But so Trout's been really blessed over time to grow ministry and get really specific on how we do that. So
I would say, when I was attending, the singularity of the point, the skills classes, the Bible classes, and then all the volunteers. And so then it shifted a little bit when I started bringing kids, but it was very similar, but they were just hired people who were here.
From a youth pastor perspective, was it easier to get kids to camp? Was it easier to get volunteers? Was it easier to do anything in the 90s, 2000s than it is now, or is it all kind of the same?
No, camp has an anointing. James. I mean, the idea of retreating, the idea of getting kids away. So, I mean, I just brought kids up this fall and we had to turn kids away. Because we maxed out on 2 buses and it's not hard at all to get kids to come. I would say a full week in the summer is harder.
When did you start doing that?
So we went to Chaminade in the August of 1998, and then we started at Lake Beauty in 99, and we've been there ever since. And so we rent the first full week in August because they do their programming June and July. And then we take the week when they still have college students on staff because they run everything for us. We just bring all the kids and the programming.
Just to be clear again, Trout Lake as an entity, we use every summer week we can to run kids camps.
Because of course, James, I would have rented Trout Lake camps if I could have. But you guys Wick said, we don't have a week to give you.
But Lake Beauty is one of my favorite camps. I spoke there many times. Great friends there running that place over the years and stuff like that. It's a great facility. So tell me, is anything changed from the early days of running camp on your own there to now? When you, as a rental group coming with how many kids?
There were 200 of us this last summer. No, I mean, I think that's just the beauty of it. I would say that, I of course have kids who have soccer tryouts on Tuesday and Wednesday of our summer
disappear
camp.
for 2 days.
Or, the parents are going back and forth. And so we're trying, I mean, my ultimate, James, is I want Taylor as long as I can have Taylor at summer camp, and so parents, in some ways, thankfully, in other ways, sadly, are willing to drive 2 hours one way to get their child to drive 2 hours back for her to have a tennis tryout and then bring her back the next morning. And I don't like that they have to do that, but I know that it's worth it anytime we can have her there. So, but I am amazed. I would say 95% of the kids that we have come with us on Sunday and leave with us on Friday. I mean, the families say this is important. But as far as like other things that are different, I mean, we don't allow cell phones. It's a really big conviction of mine. The camps are so great with, providing. I mean, of course, high ropes is a lot better than it used to be. Zip lines are a lot better than they used to be. Banana boats, they didn't have those in 99. So some of the things they offer are more fun, but that's not the secret sauce. You know that.
And with that, you're bringing your counselors, or are they providing?
No, I'm bringing all my own people, and that's our secret sauce.
They're just running the activities.
They do all of the things that we can't do. So they do the high ropes and the beach and the food and that kind of thing. And that's what is I always say, I want you to be at Trout. I want you to be at Chaminade because it's my heart. some families can afford both, others can't.
Yep.
But I say with the beauty of what we do is that we bring our relationships back with us. Because if you watch that video with Carla and I mean, I stood in the courtyard crying, hugging her because I had experienced Jesus through her. And I was worried I would never see her again.
Yeah.
Whereas when we go and we rent a facility and all of those counselors, they come back with us. Kids see them on Sunday. They see them on Wednesday. They're their life group leaders. They're their counselors in the fall retreat. And so it makes it a beautiful thing.
And that's another huge distinction between camps, where there's camps that you go with your youth group, like we do in fall retreats, or we do with District Blitz, or we do. And then there's camps in the summer that's done by youth groups.
Yes.
And there's camps in the summer that's done by hired staff.
Yes.
And so it's one of the big choices that parents get to make.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, it's more so that there's a staff there, and you just drop your kids off and go pick them up. But it does range from camp to camp, or different camps do both in the summer too, which is kind of interesting as well.
Well, and I will tell you, I have a full-time associate, which I'm so thankful to be able to have at a larger church. And we came into the office on Friday that we were leaving for the Quest Fall Retreat, where I came here to join with my kids with all of your programming. And we came at 2, which is late, right? And by 2:45, we were like, okay, we've got everything we need done for the weekend. Like, what do we do? Because you guys make it so easy. So we love the fruit that we see out of summer camp when we do it ourselves. But it is a gift, James, to come here for a fall retreat and know that you guys are going to have an excellent speaker and programming and games. And I just get to be with my kids. And that is such a gift. There's got to be so
much weight on running it all.
It is a lot of weight. And
do you speak too, or you bring in speakers?
I do. No, I speak. We do our own speaking. So I will tell you that the programming I did the summer of '94 set me up to do what I do at our summer camp every year, because I was in charge. So it is the only week, the only camp, the only trip I don't stay with students. So it is a high conviction for me that I'm in with kids. I love kids. I don't think I can teach my leaders how to lead a small group or how to have control at night when you're putting kids to bed if I'm not in there. But at summer camp, I mean, I'm the speaker, I'm the programmer, I'm the backup nurse, I'm the counselor to the counselors. It wouldn't be fair to my girls. So I have a little separate cabin unit that I stay in. I'm on site and I'm very available and I'm doing one-on-ones, but I don't have kids because there's just too much going on.
And those facilities are able to come alongside youth groups like yours and be able to make that happen. That's such a neat gift to be able to do, and to be able to give to those kids, so that kids can hear the gospel message, so that kids can be affected by the camp. But you had a senior high youth pastor for a while, who used to come here in the fall just as his own entity. And he wouldn't use our activities. He wouldn't do the zip line. He wouldn't do mountain bikes. He just wanted the kids to hang out. And we'd look at him, we go, hey, we've got all this stuff over here, but camps are pretty good at adjusting to what that youth leader wants,
what the rental
what
wants,
they're trying to do, what the vibe is that they're trying to do. In every church brings it a little bit differently. But that's one of the cool things about camp is just trying to adjust to every different group that's on the ground, and making sure they're getting that effort or that point they want to get.
And even though I think he was crazy, to your point, and to my point, getting away matters, James. And so I know a lot of youth leaders are tempted to say, oh, we're just going to have a staycation. We're going to stay at the church and we're going to try to replicate to have it be cheaper, to not have kids have to skip because of hockey or be able to skip because of hockey. And I just am really an advocate for you get them away, put them in a different space that makes them feel like they're in another world, and it changes things. And so that was his point, is let's get them out of our normal context and then let me, kind of do what we do.
And the Bible's full of those mountaintop experiences and how those mountaintop experiences make changes in long-term and long-term understanding. And there's definitely a place for that in ministry. Now, you also do mission trips, though. So you go to, I don't remember.
Well, Colorado is where we have been since 2004, but big change. We're going to Montana this year. So outside of Bozeman is a CMA camp called Yellowstone Alliance Adventures, YAA. And we're going to be making a shift there. Yeah.
Wow. So is it less mission trippy or
no? Same exact trip, different location.
Okay, cool.
Yep,
cool.
different destination. So we bring our ninth graders. So we have 7th, 8th, and 9th grade in our ministry, and this is our culmination trip. This is the climax of the junior high ministry.
Wow.
Is this 15-day half mission, half adventure trip? That's the very end of the 9th grade. So when they come back, we come back on a Friday night. That Sunday morning, they are in the senior high for good.
Wow.
So it's a pretty epic trip, and so we do that, and then we do something called AWOL, which is our local mission trip, where we move into a mobile home park in Corcoran, Minnesota, just outside of Wayzata and Plymouth, and we live there in pop-up campers.
Wow.
And my junior hires run the vacation Bible school for all the little kids that live in the park during the day, and then at night we take the teenagers from the park off-site and do things like twins games and tubing and barbecues and things like that, and then we live there. We come back and we get in the campers and we sleep in the campers at night, and we get up and we do the thing all over again. So Jill Dejewski, who I know you know with Mobile Hope, she and I started that together 28 years ago.
So how is that mission trippy experience, that train, how has that changed over the years in your time in ministry? Is it kind of the same, way different?
No, it's the same, James. And I don't know if you're talking to the right person.
Yeah.
Because the way God has made me is I am steady and consistent.
You want it the same as much as possible.
Yeah. And I love to tweak it. So in the Strengths Finders, I have developer in my top 5. So I don't need good to great.
Yep.
I just need it a little better every year. I like to make things a little bit better. So when I find something that works, I keep working it, and then I just make it a little bit better. I think you and I are different that way, because you are an innovator. You are a visionary. I tell my boss all the time, I move the ball down the field. Yeah. I'm really good at moving the ball down the field.
I think you and I both enjoy those little tweaks, those little teeny things that just make it better. But the other thing is hard to remember all the 1,000 little tweaks, 100 million little tweaks. You go, it's the same as it was.
Or when they happen.
If it was a time machine, we'd be shocked at what we were doing.
Sure. And if I went back 12 years ago to AWOL, I'd be like, oh wow, that's right. We used to rent Biffs. Oh wow. We had outdoor bathrooms, because Jill and Mobile Hope did not exist yet. Oh, and so they didn't have the Mobile Hopes, or the Hope Center that has indoor plumbing. Wow. And every day we would have build your own sandwiches, chips, and Little Debbie snack cakes every day, because we only had one refrigerator that was in the garage of the mobile home.
And how many kids there?
So there are like 250 units in the mobile home park. Probably at the time I had like 25 kids, and now I take there 55 of us. Wow. So it's grown a little bit as well, but
okay. District Blitz. So a 3,000 kid youth conference or 1,000 kid youth conference. So back in the day,
I remember.
We would go back and forth. E-free denomination and converged denomination would come together 2 out of 3 years, I think.
Yeah, or every other year.
And now for years and years was just we've been together every year. But how has the conference off-site, living in hotels but doing a big conference in an arena? Yeah, is that a lot different than it was in the beginning, or a lot the same? So I attended Spring Blitz when I was in high school, and it was at churches, James, and we stayed in host homes. Wow. Yeah. So I don't even, of course, I had nothing to do with it. Yeah. And I can't even picture. Wooddale back in the day, right?
No, well, Bethel.
Yes. Okay.
So Bethel Baptist Church is where I came from. Mm-hmm. I remember being at Berean Baptist in Burnsville for one of them. So we just used larger churches, and that was kind of our arena. And then we would sleep and host homes. Wow. I can't believe it, but and we would still have like basketball tournaments if they had a gym and that kind of thing. And then I remember one of the first ones I ever took kids to was in St. Cloud.
Can you imagine hundreds or thousands of kids in host homes in some city?
And so did Berean Baptist just agree to find? I don't know how they did it. So here's the cool thing about how it laid out for us. I remember going to St. Cloud, and we did junior and senior high together. And it was just kind of another retreat. And we did that. And then senior high decided they didn't want to. So I did junior high. And then my friend Mike Work, who was my student ministries pastor at the time, he said, Heather, this could be just another retreat, or you could make it something exceptional. What about if you started to pitch it as the 8th grade leadership retreat? Because I have 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. This would be April of their 8th grade year. They turn 9th graders in our system in June. He said, you could pour into them. You could build them up as a class. And I was like, I like that. Yeah. And so we started it. We later dropped the word leadership because parents were like, my kid's not a leader, which is just so interesting. But James, for 20 4 years, it has been on our end, 8th grade spring blitz.
Wow.
And I take just my 8th graders and I say to them, it is unlike anything else we do.
Yeah.
There are 3,000 other people there. We sleep in hotels. We eat out every meal. It's just one grade. The leaders that come are only specialists for 8th graders. They're my life group leaders and the people who've been investing in them. It is one of the sweetest weekends we have.
And what I love about what you do, and it's similar to camp with the age specificness of the different camps. It feels like in your time in ministry, you've picked this piece and said, okay, this is this piece to the puzzle.
Yes.
You pick this piece, this is the piece to the puzzle. And you've picked, because again, you don't just do Trout Lake Camp stuff. You go to Lake Beauty, you go to
Camp Forest Springs.
You do these other things, but you found this path through all the offerings around you that fit this vision that you have from 6th grade to 8th grade, 7th to 9th grade, and then been able to stick with it for this long.
Yes. And the kids love it, James. So because I'm so consistent and faithful, you'd think I would come to Trout in the fall, I would come in the winter, and then we would do Blitz in the spring. But we've found that there is tradition at each of the camps that we go to, and they enjoy each of the different aspects and what they bring. And
what's the one we missed? So Forest Springs, you do a winter.
Forest Springs snow camp. So that is one. Back to your point that camps kind of evolve. We go and use their space and bring our own programming, but we partner with other churches. So I went for the first time in January of 97 with Greg Wiseman, and I took over the next year, and I was going, and Ralph Gustafson was also coming from Calvary Church of Roseville, and they were renting a different place, and they were having a worship through music and a speaker, and they were, and at some point, Ralph and I were like, we're literally doing the same thing. Why don't we do it together? Why don't we do our main sessions together and split the cost of the speaker and the worship? And we were like, phew. And so we started doing that. And then pretty soon Ralph's son, Nate, started up at First B in Cambridge. And so that was the third church. And now we've got another church, one of the EV free churches out in Stillwater. And there are 4 of us that partner together to go. So we take over basically Camp Forest Springs, and we do all of our 4 sessions are together. We split the programming, the stage, the microphones, the speakers, all of that. And then we use all of their camp stuff. But I have only my leaders with my cabins, everything else is separate except we do the main sessions together.
If I did one of those weekends, I want to see that work.
Yeah, it's very fun.
So again, it goes back to you've got these very specific moments, very specific kind of things. And again, Trout would talk about that, even what we present in District Blitz is a growth event.
Yes.
So the fall retreats are very, you learn the salvation message, understand, get that basic understanding. Summer is different by each camp. So it feels like even in your kind of condensed years, you've picked these pieces to go together. Yeah. So how can Campingdom meet the needs of a youth pastor like you that have thought through these pieces? How did these camps get it so they were doing what you needed?
Yeah, I mean, some of it was just what they instinctively offered, and we found it as a good match. Let's say the fall retreat, and being able to come and be with other churches, but be with my kids and play with my kids. The other was saying yes when I called Lake Beauty and said, we'd like to take one of your weeks and come and use all of your facilities. Would you be willing to host us? And they said, yeah. And I don't know, I think Grace Church had been there before us, but certainly they have expanded with us and done different things with us. So I guess instinctively, answer your question, instinctively do what you are wanting to do, but then have thoughtful consideration when somebody asks you for something different. I wonder, could we do that? Would there be other churches that would want to do that with them or the same kind of thing? Yeah. I'm just so grateful.
You made me think of you're a traditionalist too, to some extent.
Yeah, of course.
Like Trout, when I first came here, the football tournament and fall retreats was the end all be all of the whole weekend. Yeah. Because we had the football tournament, a zip line, and a climbing wall. Yeah,
and some pontoon rides. You'd open the pontoon.
That was all that was available.
Was all that there was.
And then over time, we added a bigger zip line, and we added paintball for a while. Now it's laser tag, and we had mountain
sand volleyball courts
and high ropes courses, and then all of a sudden, the football tournament, which is near and dear to both our hearts, we can't get anybody to play the football tournaments.
I know.
And so, is that a kid changing? Is that the offerings changing? changing?
Yeah.
What happened because if you weren't in the football tournament, you shouldn't be at the weekend.
Yes.
In my early years.
Yeah.
To now, no football tournament, nobody cares but one youth pastor.
Because kids used to say, oh, I can't go to Quest because I don't play football.
Oh.
Because they literally thought it was a football retreat.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, buddy, it's actually just from lunch to supper.
Yeah.
But I James, there was a year I had 3 teams.
Yeah.
And one of them was all girls. I'll name drop here. Scott Studwell, a former linebacker of the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
His daughters were in my junior high, and they were incredibly athletic.
Yeah.
Sam and Jesse were their names. And so when Sam was a 9th grader, we had all of these super athletic girls, and they're like, we want a team ourselves. And so we literally entered them as a full team. I was, of course, the captain. We were the full team, and then there were 2 other full teams of boys. So
holy cow.
I think it's twofold. I think it's all the offerings, and then kids get used to those offerings when they come to camp in the summer, and they love them. Yeah. So there's an affinity to them, or a nostalgic with them, and they want to be able to do them anytime they're here.
Used to take hours.
Yes.
And a kid is less apt to give hours to one thing when they can run around and do 10.
Because I'll say, you want to play in the football? What time?
Yeah.
What time is it? Because I've got crate stacking at this time, and I've got this at that time. So I think it's both, and then I think just football in general. So many kids are playing soccer. Soccer is kind of the more universal. I don't know if that's because of concussions or something like that.
Check my memory on the girls' team, though. They got 2nd place.
No, we did not advance as far as I hoped we would. Yeah, I think we probably got 3rd. We probably played like the friendship.
I just remember
bracket.
Yeah.
It was so good. Oh my word! And when we came up for Quest this last fall, I just said, would anybody want to play us? Because I had some boys that really were excited, and like 2 small churches said we will, but they couldn't even make up a group of 10, so I had to give them 5 of my kids. So it was like we were playing each other, but we just played one game.
Are you in the athletic side of town? Down there in the southwest corner?
I mean, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, Edina. I mean, we have a lot of athletes. But it is amazing what all is offered. And so like even Lake Beauty, they've got the fat tire bikes and stuff now. And it's been interesting to watch horsemanship, horseback riding. I mean, it used to be the be all end all when I was growing up. Kind of went away, and now it's back.
Yeah. We're building a whole new horsemanship area.
I know.
When we 4 or 5 years ago were thinking about maybe we don't have it anymore.
And Chaminade has always been known. If somebody's an equestrian, they would go there. But I just told somebody last night, James, we are so blessed in Minnesota. To have so many great camp options. And the fact that they're all on lakes. I tell people, our license plate says 10,000 lakes. The DNR says more than 14,000. I go and speak at other camps. I go to Florida. It's on this beautiful lake, and there are signs everywhere that tell you can't enter the lake because of alligators. And then they'll have a pool, and the pool's like 105 degrees. I can't believe how many camps I go to. Spring Hill is another one where there is no water. There's not a lake.
Spring Hill's a bunch of man-made.
But I mean, I just don't. I'm only used to a camp being on a lake because that's all it is in Minnesota.
I've got a friend that runs a camp in Texas, and they've got a couple. They've got a couple. I think one's real and one's man-made. But during the day, it's so hot that they go away. They do their chapels in the middle of the day, and then they do their activities in the evening and the morning, or else you can barely be outside. And so it's just kind of funny. Again, we all do the same thing very differently, but different parts of the country, different areas. But the other thing about Minnesota, I think is a blessing too, is the camps are so friendly with each other, so helpful to each other. So everybody's kind of on this Go Camp team. And you're not jealous of each other. You want each other to succeed. You partner together. District Blitz is a great option. It's a little bit too to do with we're at kind of the northern end of the Bible Belt, I say, because there's a lot of churchgoers, whereas on the coast it's a little bit more competitive. But last thing, do you see Trout is feeling just a renewed interest in not only horses but the Bible.
Yeah.
Do you kind of feel like the kids are kind of going downhill right now, whereas maybe COVID was difficult right before COVID, some of that was getting difficult, but what do you see the future of ministry, whether it's junior high, youth pastor, or camp? What do you see coming at us?
You say downhill as a
good thing.
Yeah, like momentum.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, we see it as well.
Yeah.
So I mean it I'm amazed at how many kids say yes to coming with a friend on a Wednesday night with no spiritual background at all. Parents are not people of faith. And basically, you do you kind of idea. Hey, are there good people there? That's been very common in all my time, that even parents who are nominal, or just neutral, are thankful for what their kids get when they come to us. But I've been very impressed and surprised and amazed at the openness and the hunger that kids have.
Yeah.
It used to be skepticism.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, I'm in. I want this. Yep. I'm missing something. And so this generation coming up, these 11, 12, 13-year-olds, they're seeing that whatever the world is offering isn't working.
Yeah. We're handing out more Bibles than ever. They're like, I want to understand. Help me figure this out. I'm looking for a foundation to stand on.
Kids are being baptized left and right. I mean, we have a situation right now where Collins had a heart for Andrew, started to invite Andrew. Andrew came, started coming every Wednesday night. Family is in the middle of a divorce. Life is just really hard. He accepted Christ at snow camp, was baptized later on. He started inviting his friend Eli, and now Eli has come 7 weeks in a row. And like Eli is just asking questions. And I mean, disciples making disciples making disciples. It's so fun to see kids have a burden for their friends.
Yeah, I just saw statistics. Baptisms are huge up in the country. Bible sales are up like almost 50% in the country over the previous 5 years. It's just there's something going on out there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see how camps try to meet that need and how churches try to meet that need.
Yeah.
But hey, I really appreciate you hanging out with me.
Thank you. I'm so proud to be the first non-director. Thank you.
But thanks for so much. And we'll drop all your information, contact, and all that stuff
Great.
On the page. Hey, everybody, we'll see you next time.